Welcome to Wise Move, where we dive into real estate, real life, and real wisdom. I'm your host, Meredith Buckland, a top realtor in the greater Atlanta area with over 12 years of experience. I have had the privilege to help hundreds of clients navigate their moves successfully while gaining a wealth of wisdom along the way. As Einstein said, wisdom is not a product of schooling, but of the lifelong attempt to acquire it. So join me as I connect with clients, colleagues, and industry experts to discuss market trends, share valuable advice, along with real-life stories that can help make every move a wise move. Welcome to Wise Move. I'm here today with my friend and client, Zack Price. And Zack is a dynamic owner-operator at multiple Chick-fil-A's, including the newly opened one on Centerville Highway and Zoar Church Road in Snellville. Welcome, Zack. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to just connect and talk with me about your recent home buying experience and your business transition. And thanks for showing up today.
Yeah, absolutely. And you nailed it. It is a mouthful. Centerville Highway and Zoar Church Road, Chick-fil-A. Goodness, could we not jam more words into there? I've since shortened it to just Centerville Highway. I'm like, if people
perfect.
can't find us from that, then, but no, glad to be here and excited for our conversation.
You're a busy guy and we're right between breakfast and lunch. So I'm sure things are heating up at the store and those Chick-fil-A's are always busy. There's always a lineup. And we'll jump into that and a little bit more of that store operations, but maybe you could just start and share your kind of beginning of the transition, because for you didn't just make a move across town. You made a move across the country, not just with your family, but with a business. And that's huge. So I'd love for you just to give an overview about what even sparked that idea to move across the country?
Yes, absolutely. So for your legion of followers that don't know who I am, my name's Zack Price, and I started with Chick-fil-A many years ago. I've been an owner-operator for 8 years. And Erica and I, my wife, we worked with Chick-fil-A for a while, became franchise owners, but we were both from Atlanta, and Atlanta, as most people know, but some may not, is the birthplace of Chick-fil-A. Truett Cathy, our founder, started his first restaurants here, and this is where everything started. And so for a young entrepreneur trying to get into Chick-fil-A, it's really difficult to start out in Atlanta. And so our career led us to a suburb of Fort Worth, Texas. And that's where we spent the last 8 years, was in Colleyville, which is on the northeast side of Fort Worth, and had a great business there, a great restaurant, went through COVID, built a home there in a phenomenal neighborhood, Sandstone Cove. It's this little 30-home community in the middle of the hustle and bustle that you could feel like you're in a bubble. And so we loved it. We loved Texas, had some great friends, but like many people know, there's always the tug on your heart to be close to family. And we've got 3 kiddos, Adeline, Raylan, and Stetson. And as they started to grow up, we just wanted them to have a chance to live close to their grandparents and to be closer to family. We made it work long distance for a long time, but the opportunity just to drive a few miles down the road to see each other was something that we really thought would be great for our family. And the way the Lord had it, lined up an opportunity for us to actually transition our restaurant in Texas to another owner. And we grand opened the Chick-fil-A here in southern Snellville off of Centerville Highway in March of this year.
Wow. And that's a huge background there, because it's no easy feat starting a Chick-fil-A or getting in the door like you did, and then certainly establishing such a successful business there and then moving back across country here. So when you first introduced that idea at home to Erica and the family, how was the reaction? Were they prepared? Did they already know this, or was this unexpected?
That's a good question. I think when we went to Texas, we always had it in our heart that we would eventually find our way back to Georgia. But I would say in our time there and the connections we made, the friendships, and getting our kids plugged into schools and different activities, it really made it harder and harder to move. And I think that's how we would have wanted it to happen anyways. You want to get so plugged in and so connected to a community that it's hard to leave. If you aren't, then maybe we didn't do it the right way. And when that kind of opportunity came up and some opportunities were presented to us, it really was a difficult kind of, not necessarily decision, but we had many conversations of, is this the right thing? Is this the right move for our family in the right season? And so, yes, it was some challenging conversations, but our parents, they were all on board. They were so excited. So we had to just make sure that our hearts were ready for it before we brought that up to them, because that could be a difficult conversation to rewind if it didn't work out.
Yeah. Grandparents, parents, they were ready. So they were ready to make that happen. And I know you said something about the right season. And you guys, ideally, families might look and say, I'm going to move during the summer months, or I'm going to move when school's out. But you guys, you took this plunge, and knowing it could be mid-season with the school and all of that. So that was a big undertaking.
Yes. Yeah. So the way it worked out, our restaurant here in Snellville opened in March 6th. And so I knew I had to be here at least no later than January, and just to staff, get vendors connected, and just to make sure everything's ready for, as everybody knows, Chick-fil-A, there's an expectation of great service, great team members, hospitality. All that doesn't just happen. We had to get the groundwork and the foundation started to be laid early. And so as we were looking at the calendar, it was like, you know what? We really need to find somewhere before the end of the year so we can make this move and try to get our kids plugged into school at a natural break point of that Christmas, New Year's break. And that provided challenges as well. It's never perfect, but I would say when we were selected for this opportunity in Chick-fil-A, we went through the process of making sure that we got their approval. It happened in March of 2024. So we had a lot of planning time to talk through scenarios and meet with our realtor in Texas to make sure that we orchestrated this the right way. And I would just say we approached it from the lens of what's going to be the least disruptive to our family, because we wanted our kids, this move it's a big deal. We're leaving friends, we're leaving neighbors, leaving a school. That's the only thing that they've known as far as their education. So we wanted to make sure we prioritized that and knew that change was going to be difficult. And we would figure out the other pieces, how to make it work if we had that end kind of vision destination in mind. And that was our North Star as we navigated that season.
Yeah, there's so much there. Like you said, trying to make sure that family unit, that was your priority. So even though you've got this big business and you've got that family business with all of those people and you've got to be on the ground, you're still back in Texas. And then you're like trying to also determine the best home and situation for your family. And I know that's where we entered in together, and you trying to decide between, we don't know the area. Do we just rent a little bit? Do we build? What do we do next? And so as you did that, what would you say were helpful or valuable tools for you? And how important was it then for your work with a local realtor even to unearth or discover that?
Yeah, it was a wild time. I'll say like purchasing a home, that's probably the biggest purchase most people make in their lives. Yeah. And the biggest financial transaction you have. And to do that from states away is very difficult. But we approached it in the way of, we wanted to find a good local realtor. We found you through some mutual friends, and we wanted somebody that understood what we were trying to do. Not just the house we wanted, but the way we wanted the transition to flow and work. You can talk budgets and bedrooms and all those sorts of things, but I think when we had conversations, it was like, hey, we really use our home as a place of gathering, as many people do, but it was like, hey, we cook a lot. We not just chicken. We love to barbecue and swim and have people over. We want a place that can create community. And so we had those conversations. And I think, too, from the North Star being an easy transition for our kids, one of the things we did is we obviously used a lot of those school kind of grading websites that would give you some insight on the schools. But I had a really good friend in Texas who was a principal and then a superintendent of a school district where we lived. And he gave me some valuable feedback of, hey, those are great, but actually go to the school's website and you can pull up reports that they post based on like national and state regulations that show their diversity, their school, like the grades and test scores and different things, to get a really factual, like another lens. Sometimes those grading systems, you just don't know what scale they're working on, and they're all great, but it's just another lens to look through. Because what we noticed, actually, we loved our school in Texas. It was this incredible little elementary school. It was tucked away, great community, but the scores that it had posted on some of these websites weren't great. And so we were like, man, if we like Porter so much, why? And they're graded, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but let's just say a 6 out of 10. Man, we love that. Let's see what we can, let's not put all of our eggs in this grading system basket. And so it really opened our eyes to a lot of different just school districts and opportunities. And obviously working with you, someone that lived in the community and could tell us a lot more of the ins and outs of the way it worked, was a huge help to getting us dialed in to where we wanted to go.
Yeah, and there definitely had to be a little more strategic approach with it, because your store location, that quality of life, that you're not so separated from it, it may not be in the right next door to the school district that you want your children to be in. So trying to find that perfect triage of here's my home, here's my business location, but also that school factor and how that plays in. So sometimes, especially coming into an area like Atlanta with such a sprawl and a store location, and the amount of time you're going to commute was like, how far can I live from the store? And where is the school district then to that home? And if I remember right, you guys had like most home buyers, you had very specific criteria, but even more so because you considered building that dream home, or if you could find it. But I know you guys referenced it a lot as a unicorn. And almost, I don't know that we're going to find this built, because like you said, you open your home for ministry, you're hospitable, and that was very vital to you guys. But the space, the location to the store, the land, all of that. So there was a little bit of a journey there in discovering, do we build, do we rent, and wait, where's that unicorn? And how, for you, that was a big process of it too.
Yes, absolutely. And yes, I don't know if you would say this like to everybody, but I feel like we were probably a more challenging client to find a home for. I hope we were like great to work with, but it was very much, hey, this is what we're after. And I think a few times we're like, we know that we're asking for the unicorn, because it was like, we wanted to be a certain distance from the restaurant. Our home in Texas, I was 5 minutes from our Chick-fil-A. And so we served our neighbors. Like, it was, some might consider it too close, but we loved just being able to pop up to the restaurant if we wanted to, kids go play, that sort of thing. And so we didn't want to be far away. And so we were looking within a 20-minute drive. But also being in a place where it was an easier commute for our parents, because they live on the north side of Atlanta. And as you guys know, and many people know that are from the Atlanta area, mileage is just a number. Traffic is a huge part of that equation. And we're also Braves season ticket holders and big Georgia Bulldog fans. And so we wanted to be like in between all of this. And we looked at what would it look like to buy land and build a house, because we knew it was like, man, it's just going to be really difficult to find what we were looking for. And I remember when we were going through Zillow and looking through some of the listings that you sent us, this home that we live in, that I'm sitting in the basement of right now, popped up. And I remember telling Erica, I was like, hey, this is like the land that we would like to have. And I think we sent you an email like, this house, the inside of it, I think it's got some good bones, but what we're looking for is this. And Erica was like, if we change this, we did that, that's all pretty minor things. This might actually really work. And we went through a process working with you of trying to fly Erica here to actually see the house. because
Yeah.
I ended up making the purchase without even seeing the home in person until the day
Yeah.
before we closed. But I trusted not only my wife, but I knew that you were helping work the deal in a way that would be really favorable for us. And so sometimes you got to be really flexible to
Yeah.
make it work. And I think that this home and this transaction was a perfect case of that. Is we knew that what we wanted was out there and we were able to find it.
Yeah. And there's so much trust in that process. And when we started through this, I think you had seen this house that I had sent you, and then I actually was going to go tour that house with another client, but the whole time I have you in the back of my mind. Like, I don't, like, that client was somewhat interested, but I'm filming, I'm taking photos because I knew you guys couldn't be there physically. And so doing a dual effort there and sending you stuff, and I'm like, I think this is your unicorn. It just kept checking the boxes. But even through that, we tried to get Erica here. And then there was the whole shutdown of computer systems that grounded all the flights. I remember that day, and you guys were at the airport, and we're up against obstacles like that and all along the way. And you were not literally going to see it until you came in to close on the deal. And I kept thinking, I hope he loves this. I hope it's his unicorn. We also share the same faith. And within that, there was a lot of prayer and thought process that went into that, of just committing this whole process to, this is bigger than us and out of our hands, and watching God lead through that as well and give clarity and peace in that process. But it did take a lot of trust in that. And then also, okay, do I have an agent that's going to help me navigate this? And then my wife, that she feels peace about it. And then I'm going to be good for all of that.
Yeah.
But you had so much on you, Zach, at that time. And it's one stress load after another. I've got to get the business. I've got to find housing. I'm going to buy a house that I haven't seen. And you were also in kind of transition of starting what lending would often see as a new business concept. So that threw in a potential and the importance of a good lender. And so I had some lenders were like, no, this might not be possible. You're moving cross country. You've got a new store. We see it as potentially ground zero, but then having resources that I could provide you that would be like, hey, I have a lender who can get this done and solve this. And that all coming together was great to see. And I know that probably added more stress at times, but hopefully it was good in that operation.
I think from exactly what you touched on a minute ago, we sent this house to you, and then I don't even know if you told us you were going to look at it. Then all of a sudden we get like 10 videos of you walking through and videoing everything. And I don't know, like, it's something with like just real estate photography. Sometimes it's perfect. Sometimes it doesn't give you the true feel, or maybe just how they're laid out on Zillow.
Right.
But when you sent us those videos and we could see the way the house transitioned from space to space, it was like, oh no, it's starting to become real and really look great. And there's all those different aspects of, okay, can we get a lender that will work with us? Because being self-employed is different than just a W-2. Sometimes that's good, and then proving income and talking through all the different pieces of everything. But like you said, all along the journey, we prayed like, hey God, if this is where we're supposed to be, if this is the house we're supposed to raise our family in and welcome in community, you're going to make that happen. And I remember vividly on the day of this global technology shutdown of, I think it was like American, United, and Delta. I think the only company not affected was maybe Southwest. And Erica spent, it was like, she's stuck at the airport for 8 hours, and we're like, I don't know. But she was able to get on a flight the next morning. And I just remember we talked that evening before she actually did make it to Georgia. And I was like, I don't know if this is God trying to protect us or if this is Satan trying to get in the way, but let's pray, and you just let me know how you're feeling tomorrow, because we'll know hopefully one way or the other. And thankfully things worked out. And working with a lender was huge to help us navigate those roadblocks, because I think, like you've experienced so many times in your career, from a realtor or a lender perspective, you guys do this all the time. For the buyer, we may do this 3 or 4 times in our life. And so when you hear, oh, this isn't going to work, you like almost start to crumble. The dream's falling apart. But to have resources and different options, that was really helpful to have those at our disposal, because just an average chicken salesman like me, I don't know all those different ins and outs. And it was great to be able to have partners that we could work with to help make that happen.
Oh, definitely. For me, having trusted resources that I can say, hey, I'm not licensed in lending. I'm not licensed in the closing attorney. I can't answer specifically or navigate you fully through there, but I have trusted resources who I know can get the job done, who are going to protect you, who have strong level of ethics, being able to bring that to you, problem solvers. And you do that in your business, and I have to do it in my business. Not just, oh, hey, they said no, but no, this is the dream home, and how do we get it? We try to remove the roadblocks, and we try to go find the answers and the help we need. And so being able to bring you guys that was certainly just a great thing, and to see it all come together. So you guys packed up, you moved across country, and you came around, I think the holiday, didn't you spend, was it Thanksgiving or what holiday were you guys first entered the home?
It was Christmas. What we did, and it was just one of those things, like you say, you make it work. You figure out a way to make it work. And now the Instagram pictures are beautiful, but in the process of getting here, so we actually packed up our home and moved 95% of our stuff over Thanksgiving week. And so we packed up the moving truck, it left Texas, and then a couple days later when the kids got out of school, we drove here to Georgia and dropped the kids off at grandparents and came down here to help the movers get things situated. But then we moved back to Texas to finish out the school year and lived basically 4 to 5 weeks on like hardly anything. And it was super interesting because it started to feel very weird. The house that we loved and created in Texas now looked very different. You do what you have to do. And we did that, lived on bare minimum things, and made the official move to Georgia when the kids got out of school for Christmas break. And we did the holidays here on a lot of air mattresses for grandparents and sister and people that came to visit. But we felt like that was a really important thing for us to be able to have that first memory in our house. And I'll say, like, the whole part of the process, how we felt like it was working, was when the home we purchased here, the sellers were flexible on closing and when they had to be out of the house. And likewise in Texas, the buyers of our home were flexible on when they needed to get in the home. And so I think it just all worked perfectly, even though we had to kind of live a little bit funky for a season. But the transition and that all the transactions that needed to happen, the timeline worked really well. And it was honestly really beautiful, because after the holidays, I was going to head back to Texas to continue transitioning the business to a new owner. But we had a week-long snowstorm that locked everybody down. And it was actually one of the best blessings for us, because we got a chance after that crazy season and kind of heading into another crazy season, we had a chance to just stop as a family and be together. And it was wonderful. We got to use the great new fireplace and all the different things, but we just got to be together in our new home, and it was really great.
Yeah, it's moments like that you relish, even during COVID. It's moments that make you have to stop and be still, and you can't do anything, and then you can really focus on family or priorities in that moment, or just rest. And there was a lot that had gone on. So how, like, now that you're here, you've been here for what, almost a year or close to it, or a little over?
It will be a year. Like, we have owned the property
That's
since
right.
October, but we will have been here, it's about half a year. We moved in December. It is good. I would say the business is doing great, but it is definitely still in that startup phase. We're trying to get new team acclimated, understand their responsibilities, able to execute and fulfill guests' expectations and our team members' expectations. And so the restaurant is very crazy. I would say on the flip side of that, the personal life it has settled down quite significantly because where we live, and it has just become our safe haven. Our parents refer to it as camp or almost like an amusement park because we can unplug and escape reality, which has been really great in this season because there's so many other demands outside of here that when we come home, we can really find some rest and be together and have fun.
Yeah, and that's the quality of life balance, and that place that you guys wanted when you came here, because your job is so high demand, and that store and not just a high demand, but you're literally transitioning a whole new place. Like uncharted waters for you in some ways in a new place, and it's a lot. And then you've got also to get the home family balanced, stable. If you could though go back and like, now that you know everything that you know from before, would there be anything that you would give yourself advice or say to do before any of this or the move?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I think, and we did this, I think you just have to really sit down and plan out the process and have the checkpoints there of this is when we need to do this is when we need to do that. But also hold it loosely because we don't control it. We like to think we do, especially business owners. It's like we want to control every little detail. And really the honest truth is we control very little. But I think having that plan and talking through the end goal of all of this, it's like, hey, when we get on the other side, we want to still be married. We want our kids to be great and all those things. And it's like, let's make sure that we accomplish that. And whatever happens in between, we'll navigate through there. And I think it's the same way that we've opened the business. This is going to be a huge financial transition. It's going to require a lot of, when you pause for a season of having income, you're like, the savings account depletes so fast when you don't have money coming in. But it was like, hey, we are going to sit down and plan this. We're going to map it out and know that when it starts to get uncomfortable, go back and look like we're at the part of the plan that's uncomfortable. And the mountain, we're going to get to the top eventually, and it's just right over the corner. Or knowing those places was really important for us. And I think just having that kind of vision and intentionality, because it is huge. Like when we bought our first home, we didn't have children. And so it was just us. And then when we bought our second home, our kids were so small. We didn't really know all the ins and outs of looking at school systems. And so now it's like, okay, this is the place that we're probably going to be for a substantial period of time. We got to make sure we follow the right steps to make sure that we're not making a huge mistake and regretting it a couple years from now.
Yeah, and like you said, careful planning had to be part of all of this. And then the distance that you were required a lot of trust in that, and then in that process. Trust first that this is what God wanted and you're going to follow that lead, and then finding good resources to help you, and then trusting those, and then seeing it all come together and work together has been a big process. But knowing that your family is in a very stable and solid environment, and that allows you then to be able to focus on your work and your business more successfully, and bring that element of teamwork, because we all were a team with the Price family. I was one of your team members, and then you had to rely on my associates and team people that I work with to all bring it together. And then you take that into the business, and you're just trusting those people and those resources. And when you see it all come together, it's good. But like, what for other business owners, there's not too many that are just always making this leap. Chick-fil-A is a unique little niche in that. But for other business owners who are thinking about relocating or family in tow and don't know what advice, if any, would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to weigh the pros and cons like all of us do, and just understand that you've got to embrace, if you're going to take that leap, you're going to embrace the chaos a little bit. And one of the things that I learned or was reminded of through this process of grand opening our new Chick-fil-A here, which when you leave something that's really established and the team is well trained, they understand the vision, you can almost put it on autopilot. And I like to say that I got to then turn into be the coach, the cheerleader, whatever the team needed, and got to do a lot of the fun stuff. Where when you're bringing on 100 people that don't understand Chick-fil-A, have never worked in that environment, or maybe never worked in fast food, and need to catch the culture and understand the processes of how to make a great chicken sandwich and serve it quickly with a smile on your face, it can be a lot. But trust your instincts, trust who you are. Almost, we say it sometimes, trust your training. And I knew, hey, I've done this. I just need to repeat that process and understand that, hey, we're not 4 years into this, we're 4 months. We're going to have hiccups. That's how we learn. That's how we're going to grow and get better. And I would say the same thing about making a big move is like, hey, what you have established in your current community, if you can make almost like a vision board of what you want in the new and what you want to take from the old and bring into the new and maybe what you want different, you can help make that become a reality. But it's not going to be instantaneous. It's going to be a process. It's going to take a little time. And I think just understanding that and embracing it is going to be key, because there's a lot of things out there that you want to see done today, and that's just not the reality, even though I want to make it so badly.
Yeah. And I loved watching you guys through this, your focus on your faith, your focus on your family, and all of that came in. And now your focus in your business. Tell us about the new Chick-fil-A store. Tell us how it's doing, where people, can find you. I'm sure you're the best Chick-fil-A store ever in Snellville. So tell us a little bit about that.
We're getting there. Yeah, so we're located in the south side of Snellville off of Centerville Highway. 3366 is the address, 3366 Centerville Highway. Come by and visit. We're doing great. I think we are ahead of schedule in part of the process, but we've got a phenomenal team that is really working hard. They're doing their best to provide great service to that community. And the community has welcomed us with open arms. The ribbon cutting and grand opening, we had a line out the door opening day. People waited in the cold. It was still pretty chilly here in March. And just the welcome that we've had has been incredible. Shiloh High School is the closest high school to us. They brought me a football jersey, a helmet. And yeah, it's really cool to be embraced like that. And the community's glad to have us here. And we're glad to be here. Our hope, we know there's a lot of Chick-fil-A's in Atlanta, and you have a lot of different options just to get your great chicken nuggets or waffle fries. But we want to create an experience that's worthy of a detour. We know you have options. People are busy trying to go to work, school, basketball, football, whatever activity it may be. And we know that you're busy. And so we appreciate people going out of their way to come visit us. And we hope that we create an experience that's worthy of that, as well as an experience that's worthy of that for our team members, because people have lots of options of where they want to work. And we hope that we create an environment that people love to come work at. Not just Chick-fil-A. I think we all know that Chick-fil-A has a great reputation. It's a great brand. But we hope that Chick-fil-A Centerville, we say a lot that we hope it's your favorite job. It may not be your last job, but we hope you look back and say that this would be your favorite job. And so we're in the process of creating that. And it's a lot of fun. We've got some really cool things that we're rolling out here in the next few months. And so we're excited to see that come to life.
Yeah, and you guys are actually on a really great corridor. So as you're passing through, you're just off of that 124, 78 Atlanta Highway, heading down to Centerville. Nice open lanes, easy to get in. You've got a beautiful store right there, not hard to find. And I think it's going to do fantastic. And I think one of the neat things, even in looking back at this, Zach, if you remember, when we were even at the closing table, and just recounting, the lawyer, closing attorney himself was like, oh my word, I was on the planning committee of the church next door that helped sell the land to form the store. It just, all of that and the connections even with the seller and everything that came together, my relationship with the other agent, I had sold her my home. There were so many connections that brought us all together.
Yeah.
And it was, again, just a great reflection of teamwork. But it was such a great reflection, too, of the preparation that had gone into it from each of us to get to that point to help assist your family. And also for us to see God answer prayer and work through that, and the wisdom that was provided because we asked along there. So I loved being a part of your family's journey. It truly is an honor when someone asked me. And yours, you were absolutely fantastic clients. You said, I hope you were fantastic. The challenge for me was I knew the importance with you, like every client, to find the right home, but in particular because of the cross country, because your business was also hitting the ground too. You had a lot on you. So navigating all of that with you was great. I was honored to do it. Thank you for asking me to be a part of your journey. And
Absolutely.
I'm so glad you could come and share your story a little bit to help even other people as they consider moves and what's important in that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge deal, and I'm happy to share any of my experience. I'm definitely not an expert, but I can just share our experience. And,
You're now the expert, so
and
you've gone through it, you've survived.
If anybody has questions, I'd love to answer anything and help them as they navigate their move over a chicken sandwich and a lemonade at our restaurant.
Stop in at Centerville Highway and see Zack and the team, and what a great story and what a great store and future you have there. So thanks so much for joining me, Zack. I appreciate it. And I hope everyone can find you easily there on Centerville Highway and 124 area. And I know they'll be well served. So
absolutely. As always, it's my pleasure.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Wise Move. I hope today's episode provided you with the tools and insights you need to confidently navigate your real estate, community, and life journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and please share this podcast with friends and family who are making their own moves. Stay connected for more real estate insights, and remember, every great move starts with a wise move.